And we continue to follow breaking political news tonight. Votes are coming in across South Carolina.
Expected winners have been declared in several primary runoff races, including governor, attorney general, and commissioner of agriculture.
Let's go ahead and take a look at those results for attorney general. This race called just about a half hour after the polls closed. For governor, these results coming in just about 7:30 this evening. Alan Wilson receiving that Republican nomination with 68% of the vote. Pamela Evett, 32%.
In the GOP runoff for Commissioner of Agriculture, it is the President Trump-backed candidate Cody Simpson winning that runoff with 63% of the vote against Danny Lee Ford II.
And in one of the most tightly contested races tonight, the results for Attorney General David Stumbo coming away with that nomination, 56% of the vote. Stephen Goldfinch, 44% with 92% of precincts reporting.
And our Caitlin Ashbaugh is live in downtown Greenville, where David Stumbo is hosting supporters tonight. Caitlin, how's the mood there?
Sydney, Mark, as you mentioned, this was a tightly contested race, right? Even as numbers started to roll in and up until the race was called, you could feel that tension. Those margins were pretty slim between Stumbo and Goldfinch, but at the end of the day, Stumbo ended up taking that projected win from the AP. And just a few minutes down the street here at the City Club of Greenville, he took to the stage to claim victory just before the AP would claim that win, prompting a concession from Goldfinch himself. And Stumbo took a moment to thank the people in the room and also his opponent for a race that was well run, as he put it. He said that he'd look forward to working alongside the senator with his 2 years in office if he's elected to the AG office, and he also called him a good man. We asked him what Stumbo hopes will set him apart from the Democratic challenger Richard Rissick, and he says his commitment to protecting children, families, survivors, and constitutional rights. He said that he's vowed to serve as a guardian of the people if he's elected, and that starts on day one.
I want you to know this, that when we're going to speak it into existence when we win this thing in November. I commit to you that I will go to work every single day to serve the people of South Carolina, the state I love.
And Stumbo's predecessor, or the predecessor for AG, Alan Wilson, who now is the projected Republican nominee from the AP for governor in this race, served about 16 years in the current role. We asked Stumbo if he would follow that same route, but he says he's believing in term limits, and for himself, he would only set to bid for 2 terms in this office. Reporting in Greenville, Caitlin Ashbaugh, WIFF News 4.
Caitlin, thank you. And State Senator Stephen Goldfinch conceded earlier tonight and says he will support David Stumbo in the November election.
Was there BO on that, or am I
Our Brad
just
Broders
talking?
is live in
Okay.
Inlet. Brad.
I think they took it probably later.
Sydney and Mark, Stephen Goldfinch texted Dave Stumbo on the phone and said he plans to call him later tonight to offer his congratulations on the phone. Still, tonight's result, a disappointing runoff finish for Stephen Goldfinch after he finished first in the 3-candidate runoff earlier this month, but was unable to come out on top tonight. Now, a short while ago, Stephen Goldfinch addressed his supporters here in Murrells Inlet. There, he's again reiterated that he will support David Stumbo and support him wholeheartedly ahead of the November general election. For much of the first hour of results, Goldfinch trailed by about 5,000 votes, but that vote deficit grew to 15,000 votes a little after 8:30. That's when Goldfinch conceded and addressed supporters. Unlike the primary in tonight's runoff, Goldfinch wasn't able to win several low country and Midlands counties he won just a few weeks ago on June 9th. Still, Goldfinch said he's proud of the race he ran and said someone will still one day make history from this part of the Palmetto State.
That's a big deal for Horry County that we're actually able to compete in a statewide race now, and we've never been able to compete in a statewide race. So I'm proud to have given it, our best shot. I'm honored to have gathered the support that we did, and I'm going to continue to push for the coast to have the next governor or next attorney general.
And Stephen Goldfinch will continue to serve as a state senator, and he just found out he will soon be chairman of the Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Environmental Affairs Committee. That committee works closely with the Attorney General's office. Reporting live in Murrells Inlet, Brad Broders, WYFF News 4.
And Stumbo will face Democrat Richard Rissick, Low Country personal injury attorney, in the general election in November.
Meanwhile, in Columbia, Cody Simpson has won the GOP nomination for South Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture. Our Peyton Furtado was there as Simpson celebrated with supporters.
Cody Simpson has been declared the winner for the Commissioner of Agriculture primary runoff for the Republican Party. He has one more hurdle to cross. That's going to be in November for the actual election. Today, he accepted his win alongside Governor Henry McMaster and his wife, saying it was a dream of his since he was a child and that he's excited to move forward potentially as the Commissioner of Agriculture for South Carolina.
They're feeding the rest of the country, they're clothing us, and we've got to do all we can right now, do what the President has done to bring light, shed light back on to our people. And we've got to make sure that we put them first.
Simpson telling us that who much is given to, much is expected of, and he is excited to hopefully live up to those expectations and put South Carolina first. We'll see in November, but for now, in Columbia, Peyton Furtado, WYFF News 4.
And back to the race for governor in South Carolina, Attorney General Alan Wilson addressed his supporters earlier this evening in Columbia.
This is a job interview, and the office of governor does not belong to Alan Wilson. The office of governor belongs to the people of South Carolina. I will never forget that. The day that I don't act like that is the day I no longer deserve your support or your consideration. But I promise you this, I will never forget that I work for you, the people, and that I will be fighting for you, the people.
Wilson spoke exclusively after his speech with our Jane Robelo. That interview coming up tonight at 11 o'clock.
And joining us now to give us some insight on tonight's results is Furman University professor of politics, Danielle Vinson. Let's start with the governor's race. It was called for Alan Wilson after just about 27 minutes. What does that say about voter turnout tonight? What really captivated you about how this race played out?
I think it says the folks that were paying closest attention already knew Alan Wilson pretty well, and so when you cleared out those other folks, it made it pretty easy for him to come in and win that quickly.
Yeah, and then the Attorney General's race was the last of the three major statewide races to be called. What does that say about the importance of turnout in a runoff and the importance of this open position as the state's chief legal officer?
I think in this one we saw that Stumbo was able to really run up some numbers in the more populous counties, and he was able to really expand where he was getting votes from compared to Goldfinch during the primary runoff.
And let's talk a little bit about the race for agriculture, Commissioner. President Trump's endorsement there proved critical for Cody Simpson. This is the first time now in 2 decades that this seat has been open. What do you think Simpson will focus his campaign on as he moves towards the general election in November?
So far, Simpson has focused more on his political experience and particularly his connections to the Trump administration. It's going to be interesting to see if he decides to focus some more on specific issues to South Carolina.
All right, great. Danielle Vinson, thank you so much for being here, professor of politics at Furman University. And we'll hope you will stay with us for more results, news, and weather coming up tonight at 11.